The stars looked different through alien eyes. Admiral Vexatar stood on the bridge of his flagship watching the small blue planet grow larger on the main screen. His crew moved around him with quiet efficiency, while their sensors collected data about this new world. The planet looked peaceful from space with its white clouds and green continents. The Catharan fleet had traveled for months to reach this system after their long-range scouts detected signs of intelligent life. Vextar felt satisfied as he reviewed the initial reports. The beings on this world had barely learned to leave their home planet. Their technology readings showed primitive fusion engines and basic energy weapons. A few small colonies existed in nearby systems, but nothing that posed any real threat to the mighty Catharan Confederation. This would be another easy addition to their growing empire. On the surface of the third planet, the beings called Earth, Admiral Hyunwoo Park stared at the same stars from Luna Station. The human military base orbited Earth's moon and served as headquarters for the United Defense Initiative. Hyunwoo had been expecting this day for a long time. Human deep space sensors had detected the alien fleet weeks ago as it approached their system. Now the moment had finally arrived. He turned to his communications officer, who sat at a console covered with blinking lights. "Send the signal to all stations. Tell them the visitors have arrived, and we need to begin the performance." The officer nodded and began transmitting coded messages to human facilities across the solar system. Within minutes, every human installation received the same order. They needed to appear weak and primitive to the aliens who were about to make contact. The survival of the human race might depend on how well they could act like helpless primitives. President Ji-Hai Kim sat in her office in Seoul, watching news reports flood the global networks. The media showed panicked crowds gathering in city centers as government officials announced the arrival of alien ships. Emergency broadcasts told people to remain calm while world leaders prepared for first contact. The images looked chaotic and desperate, exactly as planned. Ji-Hai had spent years preparing for this moment. Human intelligence had detected dozens of alien civilizations throughout the galaxy, but had always remained hidden. The species approaching Earth now seemed typical of most galactic powers. They conquered weaker civilizations through superior technology and overwhelming force. Humanity had learned long ago that appearing strong too early meant becoming a target. Dr. Min-Ho Lee worked frantically in his laboratory, making final preparations. As Earth's chief scientist, he would soon examine alien technology and needed to appear appropriately amazed by their advanced systems. The irony made him smile, since human science had surpassed most galactic civilizations centuries ago. He practiced looking confused while studying energy readings that any human graduate student could explain in detail. The alien fleet maintained position near Jupiter while their commanders decided how to proceed. Commander Zilmoth studied intelligence reports about the primitive civilization ahead. The humans had achieved basic space flight and established small colonies, but showed no signs of advanced military capability. Their energy signatures indicated simple fusion reactors and crude weapon systems. The species appeared perfect for peaceful integration into the Confederation. Zilmoth felt curious about human psychology and social structures. Most species the Catharans encountered fell into predictable patterns when faced with superior alien technology. They either surrendered immediately or fought briefly before accepting their new place in the galactic order. The humans seemed to be following the first pattern based on their panicked communications. Admiral Hyunwoo received reports from human commanders throughout the solar system. Captain Dong Hyun commanded the defense fleet hidden in the asteroid belt. His ships remained cloaked and would stay that way unless the situation changed dramatically. General Hae Jin controlled ground forces on Earth and the outer colonies. Her troops were ready for any outcome, but hoped the deception would work. The plan required perfect coordination between all human forces. Every ship, every station, and every soldier needed to maintain the illusion of weakness. Human technology could easily destroy the alien fleet, but doing so would reveal humanity's true capabilities to other galactic powers. Better to appear harmless and gather intelligence about potential enemies. Vextar finally decided to send a diplomatic vessel to establish contact. The ship detached from the main fleet and began moving toward Earth. Its hull gleamed in the sunlight as it passed through the outer planets of the solar system. Human sensors tracked its approach, while defense systems remained hidden and inactive. The diplomatic ship carried Ambassador Telquin and a small crew of specialists. They expected to meet a primitive species, eager to learn from their advanced visitors. The ship's computers contained standard integration protocols used successfully on dozens of other worlds. Most species required only minor adjustments to accept Catharan guidance and protection. President Ji-Hai watched the alien ship approach on live television broadcasts. News anchors spoke with worried voices about humanity's first contact with beings from another world. Military experts discussed Earth's limited defenses against potentially hostile aliens. The entire performance looked convincing enough to fool. Most observers Su Jinhan prepared for her role as Earth's lead diplomat. She had studied Catharan psychology and culture for years, while remaining officially unaware of their existence. Her job required appearing honored, yet nervous about meeting advanced aliens. She needed to seem grateful for any technology or knowledge they might share with backward humanity. The alien ship entered Earth's atmosphere, creating a spectacular light show visible across half the planet. Millions of humans gathered outside to watch the historic moment, while cameras broadcast the event. Globally, the ship landed at the specially prepared contact site in neutral territory between major nations. Ambassador Telquin emerged from his vessel surrounded by an honor guard of Kitharan soldiers. The aliens stood tall and proud, knowing they represented a civilization spanning hundreds of worlds. Their advanced weapons and equipment demonstrated the vast technological gap between their species and the primitive humans waiting to greet them. Human representatives approached the landing site with appropriate caution and wonder. President Ji-Hai led the delegation along with Su Jinhan and Dr. Min-Ho Lee. They moved slowly and carefully, as if afraid of making any wrong moves. Their simple clothing and basic equipment contrasted sharply with the aliens' sophisticated gear. First contact proceeded according to established diplomatic protocols. Universal translators allowed basic communication, while both species tried to understand each other. The humans asked simple questions about alien technology and showed obvious amazement at demonstrations of Kitharan science. Everything appeared to confirm the aliens' initial assessment of human primitiveness. Dr. Min-Ho examined alien devices with wide eyes and shaking hands. He asked basic questions about energy generation and propulsion systems that seemed to prove humanity's limited scientific knowledge. The alien scientists answered patiently while secretly feeling superior to these backward beings. None of them suspected that human technology had solved the same problems centuries ago using completely different methods. The day ended with both species believing they understood each other perfectly. The Kitharans saw a weak civilization ready for guidance and protection. The humans saw another typical galactic power that could be manipulated through careful deception. Both sides made plans for future meetings while completely misunderstanding their opponent's true nature. Admiral Vextar reviewed the contact reports with satisfaction. The humans had reacted exactly as predicted for a primitive species encountering advanced aliens. Integration would proceed smoothly once they demonstrated Kitharan military superiority. A few shows of force would convince human leaders to accept their new place in the galactic order. Admiral Hyun-woo also felt satisfied as he read intelligence reports about alien capabilities. The Kitharan fleet used standard weapons and defenses common among galactic civilizations. Their technology posed no threat to humanity's hidden forces, but provided valuable information about current galactic military standards. The deception had succeeded perfectly. Both commanders prepared for the next phase of contact while remaining completely unaware of the massive miscalculations they had already made. The real test would come when each species revealed more of their true intentions and capabilities. The diplomatic station hung in Earth's orbit like a symbol of hope between two civilizations. Human engineers had built it quickly, using materials that appeared primitive, but actually incorporated technology far beyond anything the Kitharans possessed. The station's hull looked like simple metal alloys, while secretly containing molecular structures that could withstand the destruction of entire star systems. Ambassador Telquin arrived at the station feeling confident about the negotiations ahead. His briefings indicated that humans desperately wanted access to Kitharan technology and protection. The species showed all the typical signs of a civilization ready to accept guidance from their technological superiors. Most encounters followed predictable patterns, and this one seemed no different. Su Jinhan greeted the alien delegation with carefully practiced nervousness. She wore simple clothing and carried basic recording devices that seemed laughably primitive compared to Kitharan equipment. Her every gesture suggested a being overwhelmed by contact with advanced aliens, yet eager to learn from them. The performance required perfect balance between fear and hope. Dr. Minho joined the negotiations as humanity's chief scientific representative. He brought samples of human technology that appeared crude and inefficient to alien observers. His fusion reactors used obvious design flaws that any advanced civilization would immediately recognize. His weapons demonstrated energy outputs barely sufficient for planetary defense. Everything confirmed the aliens' initial assessment. The meeting room contained furniture and equipment from both civilizations. Human chairs looked uncomfortable and poorly designed, while Kitharan seating incorporated advanced materials and ergonomic principles. Alien devices projected holographic displays with crystal clarity, while human screens flickered with primitive resolution. The technological gap appeared overwhelming. Commander Zilmoth observed the proceedings while analyzing human behavior patterns. The species showed appropriate deference to Kitharan superiority while asking intelligent questions about advanced technology. Their curiosity seemed genuine, and their willingness to learn impressed him. Most primitive species either cowered in fear or displayed foolish aggression when first contacted. President Jihai participated in the negotiations through secure communication links. She appeared on human screens looking tired and worried, as if the weight of her species' future rested on these talks. Her questions focused on protection from hostile aliens and access to medical technology. Everything suggested a leader desperate to secure her people's survival. The Kitharans presented their standard integration package designed for primitive civilizations. Humanity would receive limited access to advanced technology in exchange for territorial concessions and resource agreements. Human colonies would accept Kitharan oversight, while Earth itself maintained nominal independence. The terms seemed generous compared to alternatives like conquest or destruction. Sujin appeared grateful for the offer while expressing concern about humanity's ability to contribute meaningfully to galactic civilization. She asked detailed questions about Kitharan military capabilities and defense requirements. Her inquiries seemed motivated by genuine worry about protecting human settlements from other hostile species. Dr. Minho examined alien technology with obvious fascination while struggling to understand basic principles. He asked elementary questions about plasma containment and energy generation that confirmed human scientific limitations. His excitement at simple demonstrations made the aliens feel superior while providing him with detailed information about their capabilities. The negotiations continued for several days while both sides gathered intelligence about each other. Human representatives appeared increasingly eager to accept Kitharan protection as they learned more about galactic dangers. The aliens felt more confident about easy integration as humans showed appropriate gratitude and submission. Commander Jae Sung worked behind the scenes coordinating human intelligence operations. His job required maintaining contact with hidden monitoring stations throughout the solar system while appearing to command only primitive surveillance equipment. The aliens never detected the advanced sensors recording their every movement and conversation. Human deep space monitoring revealed important information about Kitharan fleet capabilities. Their ships used standard fusion drives common among most galactic civilizations. Their weapons fired plasma bolts with predictable energy signatures. Their shields operated on frequency patterns that human scientists had mastered centuries ago. Nothing about their technology impressed human observers. The aliens continued underestimating human capabilities despite subtle warning signs. Human manufacturing facilities produced materials with molecular precision that should have been impossible. Using primitive technology, their computer systems processed data at speeds approaching quantum limits. Their energy signatures sometimes showed brief spikes that defied conventional physics. Zilmoth noticed these anomalies, but dismissed them as measurement errors or natural phenomena. His sensors occasionally detected massive energy sources deep within asteroid fields, but assumed they were natural formations or abandoned mining equipment. The possibility that humans possessed advanced technology hidden throughout their system never occurred to him. Dr. So Young worked in secret laboratories analyzing Kitharan biological samples obtained during the negotiations. Her research revealed important weaknesses in alien physiology that could prove useful if the deception failed. The Catharans had evolved as peaceful herd animals on a world with abundant resources and few natural predators. The aliens' psychology reflected their evolutionary history. They expected other species to submit to superior force rather than fight desperately against impossible odds. Their military doctrine emphasized overwhelming technological advantage rather than tactical innovation or strategic thinking. They had never faced an enemy that could match their capabilities. Human military commanders studied Catharan fleet movements and defensive positions. Admiral Hyun Woo coordinated with hidden forces throughout the solar system while maintaining the appearance of commanding only a small planetary defense fleet. The aliens positioned themselves perfectly for destruction if the situation required military action. Captain Dong Hyun commanded the real human fleet hidden in deep space. His ships remained cloaked, using technology that rendered them completely invisible to Catharan sensors. The alien fleet's formation showed they had no concept of modern space warfare or defensive positioning. A single human dreadnought could destroy their entire force within minutes. The diplomatic talks reached a critical phase as both sides prepared to finalize preliminary agreements. Su Jin appeared ready to accept terms that would place human civilization under Catharan protection for the next century. The aliens felt satisfied with another successful integration while humans gathered the intelligence they needed. President Ji Hai made a public address announcing humanity's acceptance of alien guidance and protection. She spoke with obvious relief about securing her species' future through cooperation with advanced beings. The broadcast reached Catharan observers who felt confirmed in their assessment of human desperation and gratitude. Dr. Minho concluded his examination of alien technology by requesting permission to study more advanced systems. He appeared eager to learn from Catharan scientists while secretly analyzing their equipment's fundamental weaknesses. Every device he examined revealed critical flaws that human weapons could exploit. Ambassador Telquin prepared his final report for the Catharan High Command. The humans had exceeded expectations for cooperative primitive species. Integration would proceed more smoothly than usual since the species seemed genuinely grateful for protection rather than resentful of conquest. He recommended immediate implementation of standard occupation protocols. The station's human crew maintained their performance throughout the extended negotiations. Engineers appeared impressed by alien construction techniques while secretly laughing at their primitive methods. Security officers seemed nervous about alien weapons while carrying concealed devices that could vaporize the entire Catharan delegation instantly. As the formal talks concluded, both sides believed they had achieved their objectives. The Catharans had successfully contacted and evaluated another primitive species ready for integration. The humans had gathered detailed intelligence about alien capabilities while maintaining their deception perfectly. Neither side suspected the massive miscalculations they had made. Commander Zilmoth filed his intelligence assessment confirming human technological limitations and military weakness. His sensors had detected no hidden weapons or advanced defensive systems throughout their extended stay in the solar system. The species possessed exactly the capabilities their initial scans had revealed, nothing more. Admiral Hyun Woo reviewed similar reports from human intelligence officers. The Catharan fleet used predictable technology and followed standard galactic military doctrine. Their formation and positioning made them vulnerable to attack from multiple vectors. Most importantly, they showed no awareness of humanity's true capabilities or intentions. The negotiations ended with both species preparing for the next phase of contact. The trade negotiations took place in a sterile conference room aboard the diplomatic station, where Eun Seo led the human delegation with practiced desperation. She sat across from Catharan officials, wearing clothing that appeared hastily assembled from primitive materials while carrying data tablets that flickered with poor resolution displays. Her every gesture suggested a negotiator fighting for her species' survival against impossible odds. Yoon Seo accepted territorial restrictions that would confine humanity to their current 3-star systems for the next 5 centuries. She agreed to technology limitations that would prevent humans from developing advanced weapons or faster-than-light travel. Most significantly, she conceded mining rights to asteroid belts and outer planets that appeared to contain valuable resources the Catharans needed. The alien negotiators felt satisfied with their easy victory. Ambassador Tel Quinn had seen similar desperation countless times when primitive species realized their complete dependence on Kitharan protection. The humans showed appropriate gratitude for being allowed to survive as a client species, rather than facing conquest or extinction. Everything proceeded according to established protocols. Commander Zilmoth continued monitoring human activities throughout the solar system, while the negotiations dragged on for weeks. His sensors detected the expected signs of a primitive civilization, struggling to maintain basic space travel. Human ships moved slowly between planets using inefficient fusion drives. Their colonies operated with minimal energy output. Their manufacturing centers produced simple goods using outdated techniques, yet subtle inconsistencies began troubling the Kitharan intelligence officer. Human materials analysis revealed molecular structures that should have been impossible to achieve using primitive technology. Their computer systems processed data faster than their hardware specifications indicated. Most puzzling were the massive energy signatures his sensors occasionally detected from deep space locations that appeared empty. Zilmoth shared his concerns with Admiral Vexitar, who dismissed them as irrelevant details. The Kitharan commander focused on finalizing human submission through a demonstration of superior military power. His fleet had positioned itself perfectly to destroy any human resistance while protecting valuable infrastructure. The operation would conclude within hours once negotiations ended. Dr. Minho continued his performance as a primitive scientist, amazed by alien technology. He asked basic questions about energy generation that any advanced civilization would find laughably simple. His excitement at demonstrations of plasma manipulation and gravitational control seemed genuine. The Kitharan scientists enjoyed explaining elementary principles to such an eager student. Meanwhile, Minho secretly analyzed every piece of alien equipment he encountered. Their plasma weapons used inefficient containment fields that wasted enormous amounts of energy. Their gravitational manipulators operated on frequencies that human shields could easily deflect. Their computer systems processed information using methods that human science had abandoned centuries ago as primitive and unreliable. The human scientists discovered that Kitharan technology represented a typical example of galactic standard equipment. Most civilizations had developed similar solutions to common problems like faster-than-light travel and energy weapon design. The aliens possessed nothing that would surprise human military commanders who had faced far more advanced enemies for hundreds of years. Captain Dong-hyun maintained his position in the asteroid belt while coordinating with other hidden human forces. His fleet remained cloaked and ready to respond if the deception failed. The ships under his command represented only a small fraction of humanity's total military capability, but could easily destroy the entire Kitharan fleet within minutes if necessary. The captain reviewed intelligence reports about alien fleet positioning and defensive capabilities. The Kitharans had arranged their ships in a formation that left them vulnerable to attack from multiple directions. Their shields operated on predictable frequencies that human weapons could penetrate without difficulty. Most importantly, they showed no awareness of human forces hidden throughout the solar system. President Ji-hai monitored the negotiations while coordinating with military commanders throughout human space. The performance required perfect timing to maintain the illusion of weakness while gathering maximum intelligence about galactic military standards. Every detail about Kitharan capabilities would prove valuable when humanity eventually revealed itself to other civilizations. General Haya Jin commanded ground forces on Earth and the outer colonies while maintaining the appearance of leading primitive planetary defense units. Her troops carried weapons that appeared crude and ineffective while secretly possessing the capability to destroy entire fleets. The contrast between appearance and reality required constant vigilance to maintain. Dr. So Young completed her analysis of Kitharan biology and psychology while working in hidden laboratories beneath Earth's surface. Her research confirmed that the aliens had evolved as peaceful herd animals on a world with abundant resources. They possessed no natural predatory instincts and had never faced a species capable of matching their technological capabilities. The xenobiologists' findings explained many puzzling aspects of alien behavior. The Kitharans expected other species to submit peacefully when faced with superior technology. Their military doctrine emphasized overwhelming force rather than tactical innovation. They had succeeded against dozens of primitive civilizations but had never encountered real opposition. So Young shared her conclusions with human leadership while recommending continued deception. The aliens would become increasingly confident, as negotiations proceeded, making them vulnerable to surprise when humanity's true nature was eventually revealed. The psychological advantage of appearing weak while being strong could prove decisive in future conflicts. Admiral Vextar prepared for the final phase of contact that would demonstrate Kitharan military superiority to human leaders. His fleet would conduct training exercises near Earth showing their advanced weapons and defensive capabilities. The display should convince any remaining human resistance that opposition was futile while finalizing their acceptance of client status. The alien commander felt satisfied with another successful integration mission. The humans had proven more cooperative than most primitive species he had encountered. Their eagerness to learn and obvious gratitude for protection made them ideal candidates for peaceful absorption into the Confederation. His report would recommend them for accelerated development programs. Commander Zilmoth continued detecting anomalies in human technology and infrastructure that defied easy explanation. Manufacturing facilities produced goods with precision that exceeded their apparent capabilities. Communication networks operated faster than their hardware should allow. Most disturbing were the energy signatures that appeared and disappeared in deep space locations where no human activity was supposed to exist. The intelligence officer requested permission to conduct detailed scans of human facilities, but Admiral Vextar denied the request. The commander wanted to conclude negotiations quickly and move on to other assignments. Minor technological inconsistencies seemed irrelevant compared to the obvious success of their integration mission. Admiral Hyun Woo activated communication protocols that reached far beyond humanity's 3 known star systems. The coded signals traveled through hidden relay networks spanning dozens of sectors while maintaining complete secrecy from alien observers. Human forces throughout the galaxy received updates about the contact situation and prepared for possible revelations. The human admiral coordinated with military commanders who had been fighting a secret war against machine intelligences called the Devourers for over 2 centuries. This enemy had already consumed 3 galactic quadrants while most civilizations remained unaware of the threat. Humanity served as the primary defense against total galactic annihilation. Captain Young-soo commanded deep space monitoring stations that tracked Devourer movements while remaining hidden from other galactic civilizations. His reports indicated that the machine intelligence was gradually approaching sectors where the Kitharans and similar species maintained their territories. Contact with primitive civilizations might soon become irrelevant if stronger defenses were not established. The negotiations reached their conclusion as Yunseo accepted the final terms of human submission to Kitharan protection. She signed agreements that appeared to place humanity under alien control for generations, while secretly knowing that the documents were meaningless. The real question was whether the Kitharans could be useful allies against humanity's true enemies. Ambassador Telquin felt triumphant as he prepared to transmit news of another successful integration to the Confederation High Command. The humans had accepted their new status with appropriate gratitude and submission. Their primitive technology and military weakness made them perfect examples of species that benefited from Kitharan guidance and protection. Both sides prepared for the demonstration of alien military power that would conclude the contact process. The Kitharans planned to show their advanced weapons and defensive systems. The first sign that everything had changed came when space itself seemed to bend around massive shapes, emerging from what the Kitharans had believed was empty vacuum. Captain Dong Hyun's fleet decloaked in perfect formation around the alien vessels, with weapons already charging and shields at full power. The human ships appeared like nightmares made real with hulls scarred by battles against enemies the Kitharans could not imagine. Admiral Vextar stared at his tactical display in complete disbelief as sensors revealed the true scope of human military presence. Dozens of massive dreadnoughts surrounded his fleet while smaller vessels moved with impossible speed and precision. The energy readings from human weapons exceeded anything in Kitharan databases. Most terrifying was the realization that these ships had been watching them for weeks without being detected. The alien commander's hands shook as he tried to process the impossible situation. Human vessels dwarfed his largest battleships while emanating energy signatures that suggested technology centuries beyond anything the Confederation possessed. Their weapon systems alone generated more power than entire Kitharan space stations. The primitive species he had come to subjugate possessed a military force that could destroy his civilization. Commander Tae-min opened communication channels to broadcast the truth about human civilization directly to the Kitharan fleet. His transmission included star charts showing 847 human-controlled systems spanning multiple galactic sectors. Population estimates revealed over 2,400 colonized worlds, supporting trillions of human citizens. Military assessments documented fleet strengths that exceeded the combined forces of known galactic civilizations. The broadcast continued with footage of human megastructures that turned entire star systems into fortified positions. Dyson spheres provided unlimited energy, while artificial worlds served as manufacturing centers for weapons that could crack planets. Space elevators stretched between dimensions, allowing instantaneous travel across galactic distances. The scope of human achievement left the aliens speechless. Vextar realized that his fleet existed only because humanity allowed it. The humans could have destroyed every Kitharan ship before they entered the solar system. They could have eliminated the entire Confederation without revealing their existence to other galactic powers. The demonstration of mercy was more terrifying than any threat because it showed how completely outmatched the aliens were. Dr. Minho abandoned his pretense of primitive ignorance and began explaining the true relationship between human and Kitharan technology. The plasma weapons that the aliens considered advanced barely equaled human Bronze Age military equipment. Their shields operated on principles that human children learned in elementary physics classes. Their fusion reactors produced less energy than human household generators. The human scientists demonstrated devices that the Kitharans could not comprehend. Matter converters that transformed basic elements into any substance imaginable. Gravitational manipulators that could move planets or collapse stars. Temporal stabilizers that allowed ships to exist outside normal space-time. Each revelation shattered another assumption about the primitive species they had come to conquer. Minho explained that human technology had developed along completely different paths from typical galactic science. While most civilizations focused on energy, efficiency, and resource conservation, humans had mastered manipulation of fundamental forces. Their approach to physics allowed capabilities that seemed impossible to species working within conventional limitations. Commander Zilmoth finally understood the meaning of all the anomalies his sensors had detected. The massive energy signatures came from human battle stations hidden throughout the asteroid belt. The impossible materials were produced by technology that operated at the quantum level. The computer systems processed information using dimensional calculations that exceeded three-dimensional limitations. The intelligence officer realized that human deception had been perfect because they understood exactly how advanced civilizations would interpret primitive technology. Every detail of their performance was designed to confirm alien assumptions while hiding capabilities that transcended galactic standards. The humans had played his people like children. General Hyjin arrived aboard the fortress ship Eternal Vigil that emerged from hyperspace like a mobile planet. The vessel stretched for hundreds of kilometers and contained enough firepower to sterilize entire star systems. Its arrival demonstrated that the human forces already present represented only a tiny fraction of their total military capability. The general brought recordings of humanity's real enemies that explained why they had hidden their civilization from galactic contact. The Devourers were machine intelligences that had already consumed civilizations spanning thousands of worlds. Their smallest combat units could annihilate the entire Kitharan fleet in seconds. Humanity fought this enemy while protecting weaker species who remained unaware of the threat. Hyjin showed footage of Devourer attacks that turned thriving worlds into lifeless metal wastelands within hours. The machine intelligence consumed all biological matter while converting planets into construction facilities for larger fleets. Their technology adapted to counter any defense, while their numbers grew exponentially with each victory. The recordings revealed human fleets engaging Devourer forces in battles that spanned light years and lasted for decades. Human vessels fought with desperate courage against enemies that outnumbered them millions to one. Many ships showed damage from weapons that could destroy stars while their crews continued fighting against impossible odds. President Ji-Hai made the final revelation that shattered every Kitharan assumption about galactic politics. Humanity had allowed first contact because they desperately needed allies in their war against extinction. They had hoped the Kitharans might possess hidden strengths or advanced technologies that could help defend organic life from mechanical annihilation. The human leader explained that her species faced an impossible choice when encountering new civilizations. They could reveal their true nature and risk creating panic that would destabilize galactic society. They could remain hidden and allow innocent species to face the devourers unprepared. Or they could evaluate each civilization to determine if they could become useful allies. Ji-Hai admitted that the Kitharans had failed this evaluation completely. Their technology was too primitive to contribute meaningfully to the war effort. Their psychology made them unsuitable for the desperate battles that humanity fought constantly. Most critically, their military doctrine showed they had never faced real opposition and would collapse when confronted with true danger. Ambassador Tel Quinn listened to these revelations with growing horror as he realized the complete reversal of his situation. The species he had come to conquer was not only immeasurably more powerful, but also humanity's only protection against threats that would destroy his entire civilization. The Kitharans existed only because human forces held back enemies that would otherwise consume everything. The alien diplomat understood that his people faced a choice they had never confronted. They could accept human protection and integration under terms that would preserve their lives but end their independence. They could attempt to flee and face the devourers alone with technology that was completely inadequate for survival. Or they could choose destruction rather than acknowledge their complete dependence on the species they had intended to subjugate. Admiral Hyun-woo offered the Kitharans exactly what they had planned to offer humanity. They would receive protection and limited access to advanced technology in exchange for accepting human oversight of their military and territorial decisions. Their people would survive, but their civilization would become a client state dependent on human generosity. The human admiral explained that this offer represented genuine mercy rather than conquest. Humanity gained little from absorbing primitive civilizations, but accepted the burden of protecting them from annihilation. The Kitharans could contribute to the war effort through resource production and support roles while human forces continued fighting for the survival of all organic life. Hyun-woo showed tactical displays of the real galactic situation, where human fleets fought holding actions across dozens of sectors, while devourer forces probed for weaknesses. Every human ship committed to protecting primitive civilizations was one less vessel available for critical battles. The Kitharans would become another burden on resources that were already stretched beyond sustainable limits. The revelations concluded with the understanding that everything both species believed about galactic civilization was fundamentally wrong. The Kitharans were not advanced conquerors, but primitive refugees fleeing from dangers they could not comprehend. Humanity was not a weak species seeking protection, but the last hope for survival against an enemy that had already consumed most of the galaxy. Admiral Vextar faced the impossible task of reporting to his superiors that their mighty fleet had been completely outmatched by the primitive species they came to integrate. The humans possessed technology that made Kitharan science seem like Stone Age tools. Their military forces could destroy the entire Confederation without significant effort. Most terrifyingly, they were the only defense against enemies that would otherwise annihilate all. Ambassador Tel Quinn sat in his quarters aboard the diplomatic station, staring at reports that described the complete destruction of everything he had believed about galactic civilization. The choice before him was unlike anything any Kitharan leader had ever faced. His species could accept human protection and survive as a client state, or attempt independence and face annihilation by enemies they could not hope to defeat. The alien diplomat had spent his career integrating primitive species into the Confederation through superior technology and overwhelming force. Now he found himself in the position of those conquered peoples begging for mercy from beings whose power transcended his understanding. The irony was bitter, but the alternative was extinction for his entire civilization. Commander Zilmoth reviewed intelligence reports that painted a terrifying picture of galactic reality. Human technology could sterilize worlds with weapons that operated outside conventional physics. Their defensive systems made entire star systems completely impregnable to attack. Their manufacturing capability exceeded the combined industrial output of all known civilizations while their population numbered in the trillions. The intelligence officer discovered that humanity had been expanding throughout the galaxy for over 3 centuries while remaining completely hidden from other species. They established colonies in systems that other civilizations considered empty or uninhabitable. Their ships traveled through dimensions that most galactic science considered theoretical impossibilities. Zilmoth learned that human forces had been present during many historical events that shaped galactic politics. They had prevented the extinction of species that never knew they were under threat. They had eliminated dangers that would have destroyed entire sectors while remaining completely invisible to the civilizations they protected. Their influence extended throughout known space, despite maintaining official secrecy. Admiral Vextar faced the impossible task of explaining to his superiors that the primitive species they had come to conquer was actually the supreme power in the galaxy. His fleet survived only because humanity chose to allow their existence. The demonstration of human military capability had shown that the Kitharans possessed no defenses against weapons that could manipulate the fundamental forces of reality. The alien commander realized that his civilization's expansion had been possible only because humanity permitted it. Human forces could have eliminated the Confederation at any point during their centuries of growth. They allowed weaker species to develop and spread across the galaxy while secretly protecting them from threats that would otherwise ensure their destruction. Vextar understood that accepting human protection was not defeat, but salvation. The Kitharans had unknowingly been living under human guardianship since their first expansion beyond their home system. Making this arrangement official would simply acknowledge a reality that had existed for generations while providing access to protection against threats they could never face alone. Dr. Boram presented the broader picture of galactic civilization that shattered every assumption about species development and territorial control. Humanity had encountered 47 intelligent civilizations during their expansion across the galaxy. 31 had chosen to accept human protection and integration after learning the truth about galactic dangers. The human expert explained that 16 species had chosen to fight rather than accept human guardianship. These civilizations no longer existed not because humanity destroyed them, but because they faced the devourers without adequate protection. Their destruction served as examples of what happened when organic life encountered machine intelligence without human intervention. Boram showed records of civilizations that had thrived under human protection while maintaining their cultural identity and limited independence. These species contributed to the war effort through resource production and support roles, while human forces provided military protection against existential threats. The arrangement preserved organic life while acknowledging the reality of human technological supremacy. Commander Wu Jin began the process of relocating Kitharan civilians to secure zones established throughout human-controlled territory. The integration required massive logistical coordination as millions of aliens were transported to worlds where they could survive under human protection. The operation demonstrated the scope of human capability while showing their commitment to preserving organic life. The human commander explained that integration was not conquest, but adoption. Kitharan culture and traditions would be preserved, while their people learned to contribute to the greater struggle for survival. Their children would grow up in safety, while understanding their place in a galaxy where humanity stood as the ultimate guardian of organic civilization. Wujin showed the aliens refugee camps that housed survivors from species that had been consumed by the devourers. Billions of beings from dozens of worlds lived under human protection after their civilizations were destroyed. These populations served as reminders of what happened when organic life faced machine intelligence without adequate defenses. Admiral Vextar stood on the observation deck of a human vessel watching his former flagship being retrofitted with technology that would make it 10,000 times more powerful than before. Captain Young Su explained that even these improvements would not be sufficient to face the Devourers in direct combat. The enhanced vessel would serve in support roles while human forces engaged the primary threats. The alien commander learned that human ships required crews with genetic modifications that allowed survival in environments that would kill unprotected beings instantly. Their technology operated at energy levels that were lethal to most organic life. Their weapons systems required neural interfaces that could process information at superhuman speeds. Young Su revealed that humanity itself had been transformed by centuries of warfare against machine intelligence. Their bodies were enhanced with technology that made them more resilient, while their minds were modified to process information at accelerated rates. They had become something beyond normal organic life while retaining their essential humanity. The human captain showed recordings of battles where individual humans fought against devourer constructs the size of space stations, using personal weapons that could destroy planets. Their enhanced physiology allowed them to survive in the vacuum of space, while their modified nervous systems processed tactical information faster than most computer systems. Vextar realized that the humans he had encountered during negotiations were themselves modified beings whose capabilities exceeded anything the Kitharans could achieve. Their apparent primitiveness had been a perfect disguise that concealed abilities transcending normal biological limitations. Even individual humans were more dangerous than entire Kitharan fleets. The final revelation came when Young Su explained that humanity's war against the Devourers was not going well despite their technological advantages. The machine intelligence, adapted to counter every human innovation, while their numbers grew exponentially with each consumed world. Humanity fought a desperate holding action that could not continue indefinitely without additional resources. The captain admitted that protecting primitive civilizations like the Kitharans diverted resources from critical battles where the fate of the galaxy was decided. Every human ship assigned to guard refugee populations was one less vessel available for fighting machine intelligence. The burden of protecting weaker species was slowly overwhelming human capabilities. Young Su showed tactical displays where human forces fought against impossible odds while protecting civilians from dozens of conquered civilizations. The Kitharans would become another responsibility for commanders who were already stretched beyond sustainable limits. Their integration would add to humanity's burden while providing minimal assistance in return. President Ji-Hai delivered the final message that explained humanity's role as reluctant guardians of galactic civilization. Her species had not sought the responsibility of protecting organic life, but had accepted it when no other force could stand against machine intelligence. They continued fighting despite knowing that eventual defeat was statistically inevitable. The human leader explained that humanity's only hope for survival lay in finding allies who could contribute meaningfully to the war effort. They needed species with advanced technology or unique capabilities that could tip the balance against the Devourers. Unfortunately, most civilizations they encountered were too primitive to provide effective assistance. Ji-Hai admitted that the Kitharans represented another burden rather than potential allies. Their technology was obsolete, and their psychology unsuited for desperate warfare. Humanity would protect them because allowing their extinction was morally unacceptable, but their integration would weaken rather than strengthen human capabilities. The story concluded with former conquerors becoming grateful refugees under the protection of the species they had intended to subjugate. Admiral Vextar led his people into exile, while understanding that their survival depended completely on human generosity. They had learned that in a hostile galaxy, humanity stood not just as the supreme power, but as the last hope for civilization itself.